Hey guys, in this video we're going to be learning this is question. Yes, I haven't done one of these in a very long time, but let's do it. So today we're going to be learning how we can make our very own operating system from scratch. So let's set up, open up Scratch. Hold on, is it done over here? Yeah, open up Scratch and click on Create, and well, that's it. Now while it's creating, why don't you go and subscribe to me since there's only subscribers that have currently. So Scratch has loaded up. So Scratch has loaded up. So let's start. So we're going to be making our own operating system. So first let's delete Scratch. We're going to be adding it later in the next part of this tutorial series. So however, would choose Sprite and click choose the paint. Now instead of the costumes, zoom way in and make sure it's in vector. You can see this convert to bitmap. Do not click on it, make sure you can see it. Now select the square tool and give it no fill, but give it the outline of this. So there we go. That's what we want over there. Oops. Now select the square and center it up. It should snap on its own. I haven't done this in a while. It should snap to center. Oh, yeah, it does. It snapped to the center, which means it's good. And for good measure, let's set this to 0, and we can move it later. And we can see it's a bit tiny, so let's make it bigger. Just zoom out right here. Now currently we have that much, so let's do this much. Still too small. That does. Inside there, we want to write something. It got uncentered, discentered. I don't know what the word is, but I got that. Let's center it again. There we go. Now, one second. Okay, so we want to make this a start button. So let's turn this into a rectangle. And center it again. Now, let's put this somewhere relevant, like, that's fine. Okay, so instead of there, we can just write something. Let's give it the color of blue. Let's type it over here. START. Now we can see it's looking a little bit weird, so let's center this as well. There we go. You can see it says start, but we wanted to say start, whatever the name of your OS is. So let's do start OS. Now let's make this smaller. It's a little bit weird, but it does. Yeah. Start on OS. Now inside of the square, let's make another square with no outline and no fill. keep on making them until you think that's enough. They don't have to be centered, they just have to be in there so that people can just click. And let's name this main. Now let's duplicate this, not bookmark it. Let's duplicate this costume and change the color of this to something like yellow. So this is what happens when it's normal, and this is what happens when it's clicked. So let's do some coloring. So I've got these catalogs because I have the scratch add-ons extension over here. So when green flag clicked, we want to switch our costume to main, not main 2. Let's just rename our main to costume 2. Switch costume to main. Then we want to add another event, which is when the sprite clicked. So it does exactly what it says when it's clicked. Now instead of there we want another we want an if else condition. And we need 2 of these blocks. So put this switch costume to main and else, and switch costume to clicked in if. So the if statement is if touching mouse pointer and mouse down. But wait, and there can only be one. No, we can add an AND operator. So this one needs to be in the first and this one needs to be in the second. So with touching it, nothing's happening, but when we click it becomes like that. And we don't only want it to do this once. We want it to do this forever. For now. So it's not being clicked right now. See? We need to start the forever loop. So instead, let's put this forever loop inside there, and we can get rid of this entirely. Currently, this button does nothing. I'm just going to stop this. So I'm just going to move this button down here, and let's design the logo. Let's paint a quite enormous square. And the color is fine, that's not a square for sure. And that does. Let's position this over here. What's the x of that? The x is -6. So let's just match up the x's. It really helps. Okay, so now let's just make a Windows logo. So this is what the Windows logo looks like. It's basically a 3D type of square thing. So let's use the point and anything tool to make this something like that. It's not this tool, it's this tool. This part needs to be smaller than that part. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's turn this blue. So let's use the color picker. Can we pick from anywhere in the screen? We can't. That's kind of bad. But that's fine, we can just use any blue. So let's change the color. That's pretty close. Let's draw two straight lines. We can draw straight lines by holding shift. Let's zoom it in and we can see that this line doesn't quite look good. Why is that? Because it's black. We don't want it to be black, do we? Well, maybe we do. We just change the location of it. And now this line does not have to be straight. It can't be straight. And there we go. Shift Windows logo. Oh, command stop and stop. Now let's after this switch costume to clicked, let's broadcast a message. Broadcast a new message. Let's call it start. Oh, come on. So we're going to go into backgrounds, the stage. And this is currently the background, but we want the background to be a little something like this. So basically I just drew an enormous pink square. Let's center this so that it causes us no troubles. And let's make this even more enormous. And we need to center it again, but that's fine. And we're done with this part. Now let's add one line of code. I'm just so used to saying line. Because I know HTML and I can literally change the HTML of this page, but I won't do that. So when green flag clicked, go to looks, switch backdrop to, oh, we can rename the backdrop. So let's rename it to green flag. Forgot to add a space there, but it doesn't matter. So switch costume to green flag. Let's see if that works. We need to make another costume first. So let's paint a new costume and let's call this costume OS main. You can do whatever your name is, OS and then main. So what color should we use? My favorite color is red, so let's use red instead of pink. So let's draw the biggest square I can again. It isn't centered. So let's put it over here. And yes, it works. When I receive start, we want to switch our backdrop to unshow as main. And let's see if it works. There we go, it's working. So now let's put a line of code. Let's name this to start, and this should be logo. Now let's make this do a little bit of an animation. So when I receive start, we should make it lag a little bit. So wait 5 seconds, and then we can just hide. Now we need to make sure to show when the green flag is clicked. Not do the same for the logo, but we will show it when the green flag is clicked. So when green flag clicked, show. Now when I receive start, when we receive the start, we can just, and because I actually have the Scratch add-ons extension installed on Firefox, so when I immediately click, it just does this, and I can type the name of a block, which is pretty cool. So the block we want is write 1 second to, so it brings out the block, which is pretty cool. First, let's actually make it go to the exact place where it is right now. So where's, so yeah, we need to just make an animation. So I'm actually going to be using Scratch's update system. Then I wanted to start gliding over here. This is a pretty nice thing to do. Let's make it go where the button was. Repeat 10 times. Instead of here, let's just add a change color effect by 25. Repeat that 10 times, and also wait 1 second. But we want to change this to 0.2. It should be set 10 times, and then it just goes over here. There's a pretty cool animation, and then it glows a little bit, so we can just duplicate this, and let's do glow. There is no glow. Brightness 25. Then we make it wait 0.2 seconds again. Oh, stop. And then we change the brightness again by 25. But this time negative 25. So we just start on show as, hold on. Let's just start it. See, that looks pretty cool, right? Now after that we wanted to wait 0.2 seconds. Actually no, let's do 1 for that. 1. Let's clear the graphic effects once it starts. So let's go into looks and clear graphic effects. It's normal. So wait 1 second, and then we want it to hide. And that's it for the script. Now let's add another sprite. This is going to be our first logo. So let's call this icon 1. Fill red is fine. Make square, a very big square, but a square nonetheless. There we go. At the very middle, we want it to appear over here, the corner over here. And once clicked twice, it will open up. That's what icons are supposed to do, right? So I've got a folder over here. If I double click on it, wait a little bit, the folder opens up. That's what folders are supposed to do. So let's add this, and let's add one line of code to it. Sorry, two. Let's add two haglocks. Height goes over there, show goes over there. But no, we need another message. So let's call this message done show icons. So let's make the logo do this after it hides. So let's see what it looks like so far. Start and show as. So it does our little animation. Doesn't take too long. Alright, we've got a red background and a red square. That's not what we want, right? So let's change the color of this square to something like blue because I like blue. Not as much as red, but I still do like blue. Start. What happened first time? Never happened before. Maybe I should do one more time. And we've got an icon over there. That currently does nothing. So I should repeat this 11 times because it stays at red. Let's see the animation this time. Oops. Okay, it looks like that. That's good. And our icon comes. So when this break clicked, we want to wait until clicked again, which is touching mouse pointer and mouse down. Let's get our AND operator back in the game. It's not a game, it's an OS. But we are going to be building a game into that. So let's clean up the blocks. So yeah, then we want to create a new backdrop, but we are just going to choose it. So you remember when we made our jumping game? This is going to be that. So there you go. We want to switch backdrop to blue sky. I just added it. Now I'm going to open up Scratch, find my jumping game, and I'm going to put that in my backpack, and then I'm just going to show you guys how to make it all as an image. It's actually an image. And it just opens up over here. See? No, let's do the maze. Not so simple. So to it. Add the sprite, and the sprite into the backpack. Let's go right. Let me just close this. I don't want to share it right now. Open back up the project. Just drag all these sprites over here. There we go. Now we want all of these to hide, but then we want them to show as soon as the second double clicked. So let's make it broadcast. Oh, why does this have a pen? Let's make it broadcast. It's in events. Well, let's make it broadcast. And we don't want it to broadcast start. We want it to broadcast these. So put this code in there. It's also inside the maze sprite and the player sprite. Both of these. There we go. Now when we click oh, what? While generating a maze. Oh, so when I receive reset maze, so when green, so instead of it over there, let's broadcast it side of there. Let's also erase. Oh, stop. Actually, stop. No, no, no. Okay. So I needed to put the eraser on the when got clicked. Nothing should go wrong now. So I think I should start show us. No, no, it's fine. The animation just fine. Just with an extra step. There we go. We've got an icon. And a maze we can play. Although it is quite easy to cheat. So since we don't have a jumping game, I can just add black backdrop. There we go. start and show us. Okay, let's see. Click once it does something. Now with the maze is generated, we cannot go out of bounds, which is good. But this video isn't about generating mazes, is it? No, it isn't. It's about creating your own operating system. So, how do we close the maze? Well, I don't know, we can't close the maze. Now let's duplicate this icon. Oh, come on. It automatically is named to icon 2, which is very cool. Show it for now. Oh, come on. That does. And we're done. Now, the next part of the series, we're going to be learning how to add more icons. Like this one might be for the jumping game. We're just going to have games in here.